All right, so last time, so just remember, guys, when we use use state, we just create use state like this, right? It's very easy to forget about context API. So just remember that when you use state, we create our state variables like this: constant, count, set count, and use state. This is how we use state, right? The hook. And when we use context API, there's two parts, right? First of all, outside of the component, we need to create a context first, right? We need to create a context first with the function called create context from React. Everything comes from React. Create context is also coming from React. We need to create a context first, and this context is basically returning an object, right? And from the object we have provider right here, right? And we wrap the whole application under provider, and with the provider we provide the uh, value so that every single child under the component tree can use this value. So in order to use this value, as soon as we create the context, in order to use this value, we just need to go down to our components, right? And then use context. Well, basically, we created a function called over here. That's because of this one right here, right? We created a custom hook, which will just return the use context and then the state context. And from there, we were able to use this count and set count because set count and set count are inside our context API, right? Context. And we are returning those values down to the child components. And from the child components individually, we're not destructuring all of them in each component. We're just destructuring the values that we need from the component. So if you guys think about this context API, just like the fridge, right? The refrigerator, we're just picking up the ingredients that we need in order to be used for this counter component. And same thing for the change name. We're just getting this name and set name. And if I click change name, changing to Alex, right? It's just hard coded. And if I click increment, it will just keep incrementing. So keep in mind with the context API, if they ask in the interview, it's very easy to forget the context API, or like to remember the usage of the context API. So it's not like use state. So there's two parts. First of all, we need to use create context function to create any type of context, right? Whether it's a state context or user context, whatever context name. This name is, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so it can be anything. Basically, it's just a new variable. Okay, and as I said, this create context basically returns an object. Basically, this guy is an object. So I can also destructure constant provider. Okay, oops, Control Z, constant provider. Put this guy over here, and then just delete the let me double it, put it over here. Just put this guy like this. Okay, so put this guy like that. So it is provider and accepting a children. And since provider is come from a state context, right? And then it should work still the same as previously. Change name, change to Alex, increment is working fine. Okay. Any questions? Yeah, I want you guys to really try by yourself or as a team the Hangman project, which we had a lot of props sent down to the child components. Okay, it's a cool thing. So you guys will learn a lot of stuff. Also, try to implement use reducer, right? Cool, cool, cool. I can also send this guy. Um, Another example for context API. All right, it's in the Slack chat. Cool. Any questions before we move on? Okay. I was gonna mention one more thing. I think I forgot. Anyway, that's fine. All right. So routing. Let's talk about routing. Okay, let's talk about routing. Um, what do you guys think about like when we say routing? What is it exactly we're talking about? So in general, right?
Routing.
Yeah. Where's my sample browsers? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. All right, cool. In a regular websites, okay, I would like to give you guys a tip. Okay, so how do you guys figure out if this particular website is was built by React, like using React JavaScript library? I mean, you can check the inspect, right? And see if they're using like a kind of like a root. But yeah, it is it looks like a React application, right? Because it looks like a single page application. Okay. But is it really, right? That one thing that you guys can figure out if this particular website was built using React is check the React, not this one, checked um, React Redux developer tool, all right? React developer tool. If you guys have a React developer tool, it's an extension from for Chrome, okay? React developer tool. That's a Chrome extension, right? Just add it to your browser, so you will be able to see the component tree of your application when you click that one. Okay, so let's assume that let me give you guys an example. For instance, let me open the render. If I have any deploy hooks, let me open the dashboard. Do I have any React applications? React weather app. So yeah, it's been very long time since I used this. Since I opened up this React weather app from render on render.com that was deployed to render.com. So it takes some time to wake the server up. So we just need to wait a little bit. In the meantime, I would like to open the inspect. So I was trying to say that if you open any web server, right, website, and open inspect and try to see if you can see React developer tools. If you see it, then this website was built using React. Okay, let's check if learn Saytech. I'm pretty sure that this was built using React. All right, here say components, a profiler, blah blah blah. So if I click components, we have a lot of components. All right, so basically this is um, was built using React. Okay, if it's not React, then you shouldn't be able to see any components or profile. So basically, this is not used React. So if I click Redux, no, it shouldn't be. This thing is loading up really. Basically, we saw that we do have when we open up the inspect, we should have a profiler or component to see that this website was built using React JavaScript library. Okay, just keep in mind. Okay, let's go back to the routing. Okay, so as we said that we have two types of routing, server-side routing and client-side routing. Usually, the server-side routing is also called conventional routing. Okay, conventional routing. Um, so the routing is categorized into two main buckets: server-side routing and client-side routing. As I was trying to tell you guys, in a conventional routing, or at the same time as the server-side routing, when we click different links, okay, when we click different links, let's open up the network. If I refresh this, click this guy and go to the home page. So as soon as I load up this behance.net, a lot of things are loaded up related to this view, okay? But if I click assets, my whole application is resetting and I'm downloading additional stuff related to assets only, okay? Whatever I have right here, it doesn't belong to the home page anymore. The whole application is restarted, and then I downloaded the files, CSS files, JavaScript files, whatever the files that I have related to the assets. Same thing goes with the jobs, okay? So as you guys can tell, it's like a flashing. We see that this page is refreshing. The whole page is refreshing, and we're just reaching out to the server and getting pages and CSS files, JavaScript files related um, job list page. Okay, everything is the same. We click the full time. They're sending out to another page. The same thing for this guy. I click, the whole page refreshes, and I'm getting the data related to the files and assets related to this page. If I click about me, see, everything is refreshed, and I'm getting about me page related files and images. So that's not what the efficient way of doing it there, right? In a server-driven application, requests to a URL often follow a pattern. So the client in a browser, right, makes a request to the server for a particular page, about me, contact me, etc. The server uses the identifiers in the URL, the path name, to retrieve the relevant data from its database. The relevant data from its database. Think about this guy right here. This is URL. The URL contains the protocol, right? HTTPS as for secure, and we have a domain that belongs to a specific website, and we have the path or path name, the home, products, contacts, profile, dashboard, etc. This is the path that we use. So if you click registration button, URL changes to blah, 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 /register. If you click login button, the URL changes to blah, 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 login. Okay. The process in which the server handles client requests based on the path name of the URL is known as conventional routing or server-side routing. And this is another explanation. We're sitting up here in a computer and we're clicking some URL, right? We're typing URL, example.com. A user clicks on products link. Browser sends HTTP request for /products route to the server. Whatever it was host, it will send the request to the server, and the router handler is defined and returns an HTML page as the response. The router handler, I think we did last time with Express.js, okay, to handle the routes. It can be any type of the middleware that you create your backend service, okay? Basically, that backend service will return a HTML page related to that /products. If it doesn't find it, then usually what we see, guys, if it don't see, usually we see not found, right? What's the code for not found page? The HTTP code?
404.
404. Yep, that's the thing. So as you guys can see right here, the server will return HTML page as a response and the page refresh. Okay, the page will refresh and displays the products page. and then the URL will update. And then the URL will update. So click assets. We're getting data. I mean the HTML page from the server, and our page gets refreshed, and our URL changed. Okay, our URL changed. That's the server-side routing. So for the next subsequent changes, the client again sends a new request to the server, and the above is repeated every single time. So the server-side routing is often set up to retrieve and return different information depending on the incoming URL. Right? The domain and the protocol will remain as same, but the only thing is changing is path, or it is also known as path name. Okay, based on the path name, the server is retrieving. Okay, the server is routing is often set up to retrieve and return different information depending on the incoming URL. So what about the client-side routing? The flow for client-side routing usually looks like the following. Okay, so the client makes an initial request to the server. The server responds with the primary HTML document, the single page of the single page application, and associated assets, an example JavaScript and CSS file. The client interprets the JavaScript and the app logic and determines which content to display on the URL path. For subsequent route changes, the JavaScript updates the browser's history and display content, and without a full page reload. That's the thing. With regular or server-side routing or conventional routing, the initial load will be really fast, right? Because we're just getting the files and right, we're just getting a HTML document and related files and assets all related to this the home page only. Okay, but when I click again assets, my URL is changing and I'm getting different assets and files and images belongs to assets. Okay, so specific link related assets are being retrieved every time I click the link and the server is responding back. But in the single page applications, as soon as we load up the home page, it will basically, the initial loading will be a little bit slower because basically we're getting all the data, all the assets related to the application. But subsequent route changes will be really fast because we're not reaching out to the server anymore. Everything is happening within the page itself. Okay, everything is happening within the application itself. We're not reaching out to the server and our page is refreshing. No, that doesn't happen with the single page applications. Okay. So I built this very tiny application using just HTML, CSS. Basically, it's a DOM project. Okay. Do I have anything? I don't have any JavaScript files. So typically, if I deploy this to any hosting website, okay, I have a bunch of HTML files. This HTML file is about HTML. This one is context, basically exact copy. The only difference is this guy right here, H1, right? H1 says contact page. If I click about, it says about page, but the remaining is exactly the same. This is how we used to build our regular DOM websites, right? Static websites. We have to make sure that our content is exact same thing if we would like to see for each different routes. And now, if I would like to go to home or about or users, when I click it, we have anchor tags, right? We have anchor tags. With the anchor tags, we can put the full path, or if the files are located within the folder itself right here, then we can reach out to the files and display them over here. Okay, so if I click about, it's displaying about page, but just look into right here, my page is being refreshed. Users, right? My page is being refreshed. Home, the whole page is being refreshed. Yep, it's going to the about.html because my link is changing the URL. Users, my link is also changing. Now, the second
Every
option.
time, so every time you, in this case, we are sending the new HTML document. Yep.
That is correct. Yes. Basically, this href is telling us, okay, you gotta open this HTML about.html file. But it's refreshing, right? Every time we click it, we're exactly seeing the exact same content over here. How? Because every single file contains a exact same styling, exact doc type, HTML, blah, blah, blah. The only difference is H1. Basically, we're opening this guy, okay? And the only difference is right here. But in the next click, we open contact HTML. We still need to bring all of the content that we have in different files. Okay, but the only difference will be H1 contact page, right? So that's the thing. If I click contact, I should see the contact page. So another way was to, let me go to users HTML file, okay? The anchor tag can be used to put the relative path to the files or within the file itself, right? Within the file itself, as you guys can pay attention right here, I have anchor tag over here inside H3, okay? And it says href hashtag content. What is this hashtag referring to? It basically says that we do have a tag, an HTML tag that has content ID, right? The content ID, and which is this guy right here, H2, ID content and contents. It's just an H2 tag. Okay, if I click this guy, I do have another anchor tag which has hashtag users. And if I click users right here, it refers to this H1 right here. Okay, so go to content section. All right, users, go to content section. All right, as you guys can see, I'm still inside my users HTML. Okay, and I just send me down to the content, the H2 with an ID content. If I click go up, the go up means it's sending back to the HTML tag that has users ID with an ID users. If I click go up, just sending up to users page. But this is kind of like a single page application, right? Because our page is not being refreshed. We're still inside users page, but basically we're just navigating up and down on the content inside our users HTML. Okay, our URL is also changing, but our page is not being refreshed every time I click these links.
Azamat,
Yes.
yeah, in the now bar we have links. So each link. I mean, before when I used a tag, I push it already like existed some link to some website. Here we're creating like a branch. Yeah, how he knows where to place this about that HTML in URL, I mean.
Because here's the thing, this slash means look under the right here. Okay, if I put these files inside doc files, right? Let me just put about HTML. Okay, if I put it right here inside under doc files, my about is under doc files right now. So I saved right here, but as I click right now, am I going to be able to see about right now? No, I'm going to be see about, right? But look at that. I'm inside my about HTML, but it's showing my home page. Okay, about should show H1 about page. It's not able to find it. This HTML is not able to find it. How can I reach inside? I should put first doc files slash about HTML. It just identifies, okay, slash means I need to look current folder, which is this guy right here. So where is my about HTML? Okay, inside the doc files. Okay, I need to go inside doc files. It's like CDing, okay?
Yeah.
The CD command. Just going inside doc files and then about HTML.
I
So
thought,
now
yeah,
home, about, now about page.
it's just linked to our, or like to
It's
another file.
it's
I thought you are creating a new one. Here, I just couldn't find where do we have about HTML. It was just a file.
no, it's yeah, it's just a file. We're not creating a new one. It's
Ah,
messed up because it's messed up right now because my CSS styling file is need to go up. Okay, so this is also need to go up and then find it as the CSS styling file. Now it's good. About me, home, users. Okay, this is how we navigate. It's just pointing to the files in the current folder. That's it. I need to bring this guy back over here, replace it, right? And then delete this guy. Delete permanent. I don't need that. Yes. Stop asking. And then I need to go inside here and delete these guys. Cool. All right. Let's try to convert this guy to client-side routing, right? So as we said that in the client-side routing, whenever a request is made for a route, every single time we make a request is not sent to the server. It's not sent to the server. Everything is happening within the single page application, and our application is not being refreshed every time we click any route. Cool. Okay, so you know what? Let's just do it and is that it? Yes. I think I do have already. Yeah, this guy right here. Yeah, this one is not connected to any. Let's just work on code sandbox. React routing. Okay, so the first thing that we need, right? The first thing that we need in order to implement the routing in our React applications is React Router DOM package. It's different than what we have in package.json. Okay, so we have React, we have React DOM, React scripts, which are automatically installed every time we need to create a React application. This is in Code Sandbox, but in in Vite we just only need the React and React DOM. Okay, the package that, as I was saying, we need is React Router DOM. Just come down to dependencies, share, public. Yes, put all folders. Oh, I gotta change my thing. I've been creating some weird code sandbox, and then I was not able to edit my own code sandbox projects, and then I was like, why am I not able to edit? Can I change this guy? Okay, Description C. Anyway, we go back. I go back. Okay, yeah, I shared in the Slack. Please check it out. I hope you guys have access. All right. So as I was saying, the package that we need is React router DOM. All right. React router DOM is installed into our application. Cool. So this React router DOM, just like React package provides use any type of hooks, right? Use state, use effect. React router DOM provides us some the wrapper components and some functions and some regular components that we can use in our application to implement the routing in our application. Okay, the first thing that we need to do, come down to index.js, or we can definitely do it in app.js over here to get import browser router from React router DOM. Okay, once we get it, we need to wrap the whole application under this component. Okay, so browser router, like that. As you guys remember, if we create the context API, right, a state context, and we were still wrapping our the whole content, right, the top parent component into state context.provider. Similar way, we need to get browser router and from React router DOM and wrap our entire application under it. Okay, so basically, browser router is a component that provides the whole routing inside our component tree. Right, this is the component that handles the whole routing implementation in our React component tree. So if you don't have it, you will not be able to use route and link the components, right? Basically, very tiny components that is also provided by React Router DOM. But if we need to use this browser router in order to be able to implement routing in our React application. So the first option, this one, or as I was saying, we can get this guy and put it inside index.js. Why is it putting over there? Why don't we put it over here? Yes, index.js. Right, browser router and wrap my entire application like this. So just need to bring this guy over here. Right, I think we've been doing a lot of time just in index.js, right? Just instead of app.js. They're
Azamat,
the same thing, guys. Yes.
to install it in VS Code just with npm install.
In VS Code, yes, that is correct. Yes, if you are in VS Code, just type. Why do we have? Yeah, in VS Code, just type npm install React router DOM. That's the only package we need. Okay, that's the only package we need in VS Code. And we basically, the other thing we can do, guys, instead of a browser router, okay, we can just simplify the name. So we can, if a package is providing this type of packages, we can change the use names of these components to a different name. Okay, so for instance, browser router as router. Okay, so now I'm getting this browser router as router. So now instead of using browser router, I can use router. You can basically import any package name as a different name. Okay, since we are implementing a router, you guys can definitely keep browser router or just change the name and put a different name. Both of them should work fine. Okay. So now index is done. First of all, let's create links like this. All right, so maybe I can utilize, where's my thing? I think I opened something else. Okay, so we'll just try to type it over here. And then we'll just, all right, let me create links. Nav links. Okay, the styling is different. Don't want to put it to the middle. All right, nav links and just UL, li. As I was saying, usually we create the anchor tag, right? Anchor tag, and let's say home and hashtag, for instance, if we don't have any HTML file, okay? This is how we create it. In a regular conventional way, we were using anchor tag. But if you would, since we would like to apply a routing, okay, the corresponding thing, like exact same thing as a, if I can read it right here, link, okay? A link is an element that lets the user navigate to another page by clicking or tapping on it. In React Router DOM, the anchor tag, right? Oh, sorry. The link renders an accessible anchor tag element right here. Element with the real href that points to the resource it's linking to. Okay, so this means that things like right-clicking a link work as you would expect. All right, so in a regular conventional way, we have anchor tags. The exact same corresponding copy of the anchor tag in React Router DOM is the link, and link is provided by React Router DOM itself. Okay, as soon as I do link, it definitely has opening tag and closing tag. Okay, just like anchor tag. Of course, we need to put the home in between. All right. So as you guys can see, both of them are anchor tags. If I click this guy right here and check the inspect, I click this guy. Inside li, I have two anchor tags, but this one is the regular anchor tag, right, with the hashtag, or if you put a file name about HTML, that's fine. But this guy right here, right, if you click this guy, it's just points to the same application, right, the hashtag. So this is the link provided by React Router DOM, and it's kind of like a weird looking href for that, right? But of course, as soon as you put href, so this guy right here, a link, right? What about this guy right here? We have href in anchor tag, regular anchor tag. But with this guy right here, we have attributes that can take us to different routes. Okay. The only attribute that we need for the link is to. The to. Okay. And you can definitely put the dynamic naming, right? Now let's say if you have like a constant to name is equal to just about, and you can put the to name over here, right? You can put the to name over here, but most of the time we just put a string, right? The home will take us to slash, and now I can just comment out this one right here. The home will take us to slash. Let me copy paste. Let's just say about me page will take us to about. Contact will take us to contact. Okay, the contact will take us to contact. Cool. We do have our links. We can definitely, as you guys can see right here, the home is taking me to slash home, and my page is not refreshing, right? About is taking me to about, my page is not refreshing. But what if I click this, the home? All right, so if I click home, it's looking for ID, but if you put something else, it will just try to get to that page, okay? But of course, it will refresh. But with this link provided by React Router DOM, it's not refreshing the whole page. It is trying to go to the specific route that is specified in the link as the attribute to. Okay, so yeah, so we will not be able to use this link if we don't have router wrapping the whole application. Okay, we should. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, he will always add this part at the end in URL, right? The about or contact.
Link, yes.
So
yes.
yeah, when we have like a bot right now. If we'll click contact, he is gonna change about the contact. But if we will have like children's, he should just add one more like link to the about, right?
If the contact has children,
Yeah, like if we have some other links in this page,
yeah.
like
If there's other link, yeah, absolutely. So for
control it, I mean,
contact user
yes, sure.
one, we can continue like that. Okay, contact. If it's like this, right? So if I click contact user, it will just go contact user /1, right? Remember from a JSON placeholder, it's like that. So the post is the path name. If I click one, the post /1 is the path name, right? This is the host name, and with the HTTP is the domain, right? And we have the path name. So we'll get to that point. So the only thing dynamic is the last path name, right? Because it's the only thing that's changing. So I can change to 2, can change to 3. It's taking me to a different route. Okay. So we'll try to implement that one. So similarly, we'll get to the point where we'll specify our links and where they should go when we click. Okay, so our router, React Router DOM, will catch this routing, and based on this routing, it will send us to specific components. Right? It will send us to specific components. Now let's talk about those components. So in addition to link, okay, we have our links set up already. In addition to these, this is our nav links. Okay, so let me wrap these guys to inside a nav. Make it semantic. Okay, this is inside nav. All right. So right below the nav, specify routes. Right below the nav, this is where we can specify our routes. We need two, basically the wrappers or components, we can call them, okay? We need two wrappers from React Router DOM. Just like the link, we need two wrappers. The first one is the routes. Okay, it's a routes, and inside the routes, why it's importing separately? Interesting. React Router DOM, React Router DOM. I don't know why it's importing them separately, but yeah, inside the routes, we can specify each individual route. Now we can specify each individual route with just the route component. Okay, just with the route component. It's just a self-closing component. And it contains two attributes, right? This route contains two attributes. This link contains only one. The route contains two attributes. It can contain additional attributes for specific use cases, but the main two of them that must be there is the path, all right? The path that we specify, for instance, we said /about, okay? So the path is the path slash for the home and the element. The element is a component name that we put. A component name that we put. So let's say that if I have a component over here, let me just create a component over here. Home.js. Okay. And if I just go down here and copy this guy, it's just returning a div which contains h1 home. Right. Let me just this guy I don't need. Right. h1 home. That's it. So the element over here, we need to put the name of the component that we are trying to display. The element would be just import the home. All right, the element would be just import the home. Route is not defined. Okay, so I guess we'll just put this route over here. All right, routes will wrap every individual route, and the link will link to the specific route. Okay, and the route will contain a path and the element that we need to render. Let's just do the same thing for others. If I go about, the path about, or if I go the path contact. So the thing about is that these names has to match with the path. Okay, the link has this two part, the value in the two attribute for the link has to match with the path. If I put about one over here, and if I put about, it's not gonna take me to the about component over here, right? Because there's no such a route. It's not gonna be able to find in those routes, right? That is for contact. Let's try to create these components over here about that JS. Did it create outside? Okay, we'll bring it inside. Did create outside again. Okay, so let's select this guy, bring it down to contact. right? Contact and about. I don't have anything. About. Change everything to about, replace all of them. Leave it. Cool. So now I have about, contact, and home. And I need to import these guys. About is coming from, didn't I export it? Yes, export default about. Why I'm not able to import it? Well, anyway, it's not importing it somehow. Try with contact. Not good. Anyway, it is what it is. We'll just get them like this. Okay, so we specify the routes and we have a path slash, which is the home route, which will take us to the home. And we have route path about, which will take us to about component. And we have path contact, which will take us to contact. Now, we can add additional route, right? We can add additional route, meaning that what if we don't have any route related to specific link, right? Or let's assume that we're trying to go, instead of contacts, we're trying to go somewhere else, like blah 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 HTML. Okay, that page doesn't exist, right? Somehow, I mean, I don't know why it's showing what the JSON. Let me try with the JSON placeholder. Okay. No, go back, go back. There's no such a thing. It's still returning, but let me try like a posters slash blah blah blah. Well, I guess it's not happening with the data part, but I hope these guys will have something. Yeah, 401, like something like this. Okay, I put something that doesn't exist in the route, right? They do have a pick a router. It does exist. Okay, the route exists and it's displaying the page. But if I type something else like 100, they don't have such a route, and it will show 404. There's no doc for routers, blah blah blah. All right, so that's what we can apply where we say anything else. If anything else, right, instead of contact, we can create a component called no match. No match JS file. No match. 404 not found. Let's just put very simple. You gotta be kidding me. Why are you not importing it? Today is kind of weird with these imports and exports.
Can we send the props when we use route?
Maybe if you use default export, it's gonna like exported by default. Otherwise, you have to destructure it. Oh, it's
This is
already.
this is what I have been using it for all of
Yeah,
them. Yeah, something is weird. I don't know. What is this?
it's JavaScript.
Let me try. Let me try. Page? No, it's not happening.
Maybe if you retype it again, it's gonna pop up.
Yeah, somehow it's not um it's not happy with me. So anyway, so as you guys can see right now, it is displaying the home. Okay, because we're starting from the slash. But if I type home right here, okay, it's gonna still show the home, right? If I type home, right, it says not found because we don't have slash. We don't have slash, right? If anything other than these routes, then it will show 404 not found. But usually we put this slash to show the home page. Okay. So now if I click about right here, this link will send out, since I have the router wrapping my whole application. If I click link that is provided by React Router DOM, my router will catch the routing, and then it will look the two part from the link. Okay, it's going to the slash about, and now it will try to look into the routes. Do I have the route that goes to slash about? Oh yeah, I do have slash about. Okay, then just render about component, right? Whatever I had over here, right? It will display specific component. If my route changes, it will overwrite this guy right here. It will remove the home component that was rendered, overwrite it, and it will display this about. Now, if I click about, it will display about page. If I click contact, right, my page is not refreshing, but I'm going to the specific pages. It's like imagine that we have buttons over here, guys. Imagine that we have buttons over here, and in the state we have constant btn selected button. Okay, set btn use state. Let's select the first button is selected. Okay, the highlighted one. My goodness, it's not importing even the. Oh, okay, here we go. Stop complaining. Yeah, let's assume that we had a bunch of buttons. If I click home button, okay. If I click the slash home button, right, let's assume these are our home buttons. I'm setting the button with slash home, and right over here, I'm saying, okay, if btn is equal to home, then display component. Right? As you guys can see, since my btn is home, it's displaying my home component.
As a matter,
Okay.
when you use link, when you click home, you are setting like slash home, right? In your URL.
Yes.
But in road, you have only slash. How do they match? In line
So
21.
since that is correct, since in index.js, I wrapped my entire application with the router. Okay. I wrapped my entire application with the router, and in everywhere throughout my component tree, whether it's in the child or whether it's in the deeper component tree, if I have a link, if I'm clicking any link in a deep component tree in one of those components, my router will listen to the clicks. My router will listen to the clicks. Okay, I click the home. All right, I need to route to the specific two part. Okay, specific two part. All right, this link is being clicked. Now the path is slash home. Now my routes are specified over here, and now it will look for the routes. Do I have a routes? Yes, I do have slash. I don't have slash home, but basically this
that
over
was
here,
my
right?
question. That was only.
It will render. Is that clear?
Yeah, that was my question. My why you have the home here, but they're matching. I mean, it was just
Yeah. So
Okay.
if I click about, my router is listening. Oh, okay. About is clicked. Do I have a route for that? Yes. Okay, then just render about component.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so if I have something else right here, oops, what's going on here? Right, I click another button, which basically I'm updating based on the ID, right? Set btn, the button name to about. Right, let's assume that it was updated to about, and then this way we can achieve the routing too. But as your application gets really big, it's going to be really complicated to render based on this condition. Okay, that's why we have routing. Instead of creating this if else statement or ternary operators or blah blah blah, we can utilize with the package React router dump to handle our routing. Instead of this, we have link and we have routes. Okay, so contact, about, home. If I type something else that doesn't exist in the route, enter, not found. All right. We'll try to learn additional stuff and we'll do a very small project to learn more on this routing. How about we take 10 minutes break?
As much as one last thing, or our
Yes,
like, I'm sorry, all our actions with our company should be in route. I mean, if we want to send some props, it just should be inside routers, right?
if
I
you
want
would
to
like to,
send prop, yeah, to about component. This should be just inside here.
oh yeah, you can pass it down right here. So let's say you have a constant user and it's an array of object ID, for instance, 1, right? And you can just pass it down right here.
Okay.
User is equal to just regular passing it. Okay, and
Yeah.
you pass down to home. So come down to home and grab the users and console log the users, right? It will render, right? Right now we don't have anything, but if I click about, okay, let me open up my yeah, it was completing before. Yeah, so if I click about contact, but as soon as I click home, I should be able to see users, right? This is the users. Did I create it as an object? I thought I created it as an array. Users. Oh, yeah, this is an array. Array of, there's only one object, okay? So, and in index 0, I have one object with an ID 1. So yeah, if I click about, now it's not displaying, right? Contact. If I click home again, I should display my user again. Okay. All right, guys. All right, that's a good question. Since I think since we learned the context API, right? Since we learned context API, we don't have to pass anything as a props at this point, right? Unless you are looping through the users or products and you are passing ID or something down to the child components, okay? In that case, then you have to pass props to the child components when you are looping. All right, cool. So let me create another component. Let's just call it users. We don't have users. Give me 1 second. All right. RFCE. Users. So the only thing left for me is just get the users over here. All right, and then I need to put a link over here. So I should be able to get to the users component. Okay, so just keep in mind, this link and this route doesn't have to be in the same file. As I said, this link can be in one of those components deep inside in the component tree. Okay, and then once you click the link, your router, that's the main wrapper in index.js, will handle the rest. It knows that the link is click it, and with the attribute 2, and it will identify which route needs to go with that click. Okay, but as we said, that what happens if I have additional routes? So assume that this post, right, we have users. Okay, but what happens if I go /1? Right? I can definitely do that, right? So in order to do that, let's say single user and click 1. And users /1, right? Single user component. Didn't change. Okay, I do have single user component. Okay, so it says that I'm not importing it yet. All right, refresh. So if I click a single user, it goes to the single user. If I click users, it goes to the users. But am I doing something? Am I doing everything correct? Like, do I have to put every single user I click? No. The only what needs to be dynamic? The last part has to be dynamic over here, right? 2, 3, blah blah blah. That has to be dynamic. We cannot put hard-coded things like this. We don't know what the data contains. Okay, so so for that, what we can do here is that when we're going to create these links inside our single user. Okay, we'll create these links inside our single user. Right, get this guy over here, and right over here, I need to click single user, and if I can grab the ID as a prop, right, and the single user here div. This guy over here, and I will create a link, basically this link. User ID, it's gonna be ID, right? And then the ID right over here has to be dynamic. What I'm trying to say is that put this and put this backticks and put users and $ID. This is gonna be different for each user. I am looping inside my users array. Okay, let's try to get users array, and we'll loop users and display single user in each loop. And every time we're looping it, we're just providing the ID. There's nothing special about it. Okay. You need to inspect it, network, and refresh the page, not the first one. Refresh the page to get the users. And if I right click, copy object, now I should have my data. Here they go. And so data.js export constant users is equal to my data. Right? Export constant user is equal to my data. So now I can import my data inside my users. Users. And UL users data. And users data from data.map single user and return li, and inside my li I should return single user. Right? I'm returning single user and I need to pass ID to my single user. And let me pass the name too. User.name. Oh, come on. Okay, and then not for this one, in the li I can put the key as user.id. Link is not defined because we need to get it from React router down. Objects are not valued as React child, found object with keys, ID, blah, blah, blah. If you meant to render a collection of children, use an array instead. All right, so ID and name. Okay, let's see what is it complaining about. All right, I do have users. I'm getting the users data. My data is array of objects. ID and name.
Maybe when you are sending ID, you need
You
to
are sending the object instead of the
user.id.
ID.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, guys. Yep, here we go. Cool. I think this H1 was really big instead of this guy right here. And let's just remove H1, yeah. Let's just keep it like that. User ID 1, 2, blah, 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 until 10. And we have different names. Okay. So now my link looks a little different, right? My link looks a little different for each console.log. For each user, my link looks like this. Users 1, users 2, blah, blah, blah. Okay. For each user. So, and then I created the link out of it. So the two part is basically this link. So what is changing, as I said, this part is dynamic part. How can we implement dynamic part inside our routes? So we don't have to type like this 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to. In order to implement the dynamic part, we need to put a param. Okay, this is basically a param. parameter, right? With the colon. As soon as you put the colon, it takes the router understand that, okay, this part is dynamic, it's not gonna change, right? If I put something like this, is it dynamic? No, it's not. It's just a string, okay? But as soon as you put a colon, it can be anything, guys. Slash username or just a user or name or ID. In this case, we are using ID inside our single user, right? That's why we just need to put ID, or we can just put user ID. Or just put user ID like this. Okay, so this part is dynamic. All right, cool. So now, when we get to single user, if I click this guy right here, user ID name, right? User ID name. I'm clicking 1. Let me go back to users. I'm clicking 10. Now users /10. The 10 part is dynamic user ID. Okay. It is still displaying my single user, but it says that, okay, I'm displaying the single user. However, I don't have the ID or name as a prop. ID or name as a prop. Okay, that's what it says.
Use param.
Exactly, yes. So you just spoiler alert, huh? When I click the ID, I'm clicking 7. That's ID, and we can grab the ID when we are passing this user ID, right? The route is passing the user ID dynamically, and it's displaying my single user component in the UI. Okay, and now I don't have ID, but I can use params. It's kind of like a hook provided by React Router DOM. Okay, constant user ID is equal to use params. Okay, use params. So use params returns an object actually. Use params returns an object. So let me just say params. Okay, and constant.log params, params, params. As you guys can see, it says that user ID is 7. Right? Let me go back. Now params is, we don't have any params because I'm rendering the same component, the single user, when I'm rendering users, right? I'm going to user/users. Yes, it found it. And inside my users, I'm rendering the same as single user component. But when I click individual user, now my params is user ID 1. Okay, it is user ID 1. So based on that, the params that we receive, we can display the name or the ID of the specific user. So constant user is equal to, we can destructure this guy and to grab user ID. Now this user ID is the exact same thing provided by this user ID. Right? This is params. It goes to the params inside, and we have access to that dynamic change. This is dynamically changing, and now we have access to that using use params. Okay, constant user, and we can grab user data, find single user, u that ID is matching with, not sure what kind of, oh, it's a number. So we need to convert this guy to a number, right? ID. If it matches, then paste the user dot name and put the ID as an ID, not ID, user ID. User dot name. All right. Okay, so cannot read properties of undefined reading ID. Oh, it's an ID. I apologize, guys. It's an ID. It's a user ID. All right, it's a user ID. So refresh the page. Let's go back to home and about and contact. And if I go to users, oh, okay, so it cannot find it because we don't have, initially we don't have user ID though, right? So what we can do here, if user does exist, right? If user does exist, if we have user, then put user ID. If you don't have user, and in that case, just put the ID. Because the ID is coming from here. Same thing for the name. If the user exists, right? Initial loading, we don't have the user. Okay, we cannot find it because initial loading, we don't have user ID, it's undefined and it cannot find the user. If user exists, paste the username, otherwise just put the name. All right,
That
about contact users, yes.
plus user ID means only positive numbers or what? In line
The
with
user
our,
ID,
yeah, you are
So-
using plus
yeah.
sign. Is it
Yeah, so whatever we put right here, let's just name it like um, you can name it anything, okay? You can name it anything. You name it person, but you need to make sure that when you get down here, this params has to be person. Okay, that's what we are grabbing it. And then this person has to be plus person, and that's how we find the user.
y plus
Whatever, yeah, whatever we put over here dynamically, that's what we are getting from the use params.
Mm-hmm.
It is like use params is like passing down as a props, but we're getting it. In this case, we're just using it as a hook from React Router down.
I see.
Okay.
Why you are using plus sign for person?
Because as you saw right here, so right over here, when I put params, okay, when I put params and try to log it, okay, just comment this one out for now. When I log it, and users, I cannot click anything now. Right, when I log it, when I click anything, this person is a string right here. It's not a number.
To convert it, okay.
Yes. So we're just converting this person, basically the ID, into a number because every user has an ID as a number right here. It's not a string. It's stored as a number in the API endpoint. That's why we're converting this plus person into a number so that we can find the user.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So all right, this is our selected user. Users, if I click this guy 10, Clementina Dubuque. Okay, so when I click a user, right? When I click a user, I'm going into that user details, but I can go back right here, back and forward, right? So basically in the browser, right? We have a thing called window location, right? Window location, right? This window, it's because of, right? Don't show it to me then. We have a window, right? And the location is over here. The location. Basically, it says localhost 5176, this guy right here. And it contains href, blah, 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 right? And the path name is right here. Okay. So we have also the thing called history, right? This history is being kept every time we navigate through our application. This history is being basically it's like creating an array of the history. Okay, every time we click a link, it creates an array, right? Inside the array, the first time we went to slash, okay, and the next time we went to slash about, okay, and the next time we went to users, and then we click the users, for instance, ID 1, okay? It just keeps creating a history, right? If I'm right here, right? If I'm right here, okay? And if I would like to go back, the window history will let me go back to the previous link, right? If I go back with this guy right here, I'm going back to what? Users inside my window.history. Right? Same thing if I go again forward, right? If I click again, the last time I was right here. Right? If I click users, then let's change the user, Mrs. Dennis Schultz. And if I go back, and if I forward again, Mrs. Dennis Schultz. So back and forth, I can go two links back or two links forward, right? This is kept by the window history. Now we also have a hook provided by React Router DOM, right? Which is called we can use navigate. Okay, use navigate. So let's try to call use navigate inside our home. Right over here, constant navigate. Just like we said, constant params is equal to use params, right? And we can create a new variable called navigate and use navigate. Right? Use navigate. And now I can create a button. For instance, go back or go to users. Okay, and with the on click anonymous function, I can use now the navigate. The navigate will accept a number or just a string. The string is the path, right? The navigate, if accept like a string, you can put slash users. Right? It's like putting a link over here. Okay, you can create this one as a link like this. Let's say go to users and say to, okay, and put slash users. You can definitely do that without the button. Right? If I go back to home and if I click go to users, it's taking me to users. we can achieve the same thing with navigate. All right. So constant navigate, use navigate, and button on click, navigate. If I go back to home and click go to users, and it's taking to users. All right. We have use navigate to navigate through the window history. Console.log navigate. Contact about home. Okay, it's just a function, but internally under the hood, it keeps track of the links that we are clicking back and forth. So now if I click go to users, it's taking back to the users. It's useful. It's useful. Like there's some websites you go to the links and then you would like to go back. They will provide the go back button, or you can just use this back and forth things. Okay. So what happens if I put a number? Okay. With the navigate, see if I hit with the navigate. Okay, so user navigate to dashboard. That's not using the navigate. So hooks, use navigate right here. Constant navigate, use navigate, and we can navigate to session timeout, blah, blah, blah. If user is inactive, fake logout, and we're navigating the user to session timeout. Navigate to new route, state key value. There's different use cases. You can provide additional options to provide additional stuff. But yeah, the use navigate hook returns a function that lets you navigate programmatically. For example, in an effect, we already saw it. The navigate function has two signatures. Either pass a to value, same type as link to, with an optional second options argument, similar to the props you can pass to link, or pass the delta you want to go in the history stack. For example, navigate -1 is equivalent to hitting the back button, right? If you put -1, it will send you back to, let me just copy. It will send you back one link back. Okay, -1. If you go back, if you put +1, go forward. If you put -2, go 2 back. And if you put +2, go to 2 forward, or just, yeah, go 2 back, go 2 forward. 2 links forward, 2 links backwards. Users, contact, about, home, go back. Now I was in about. If I go back home, go forward. This is the last thing already, right? There's nothing I can go, because last path that I went was home already, right? If you go to back, contact, right? If I click users, about, and home, and then if I click go to back, it will go back to users, because I will go back to about and I will go back to users. That's the 2 links back. If I click about and the contact and go back to home and go to back, I should be going back to about. Maybe I should put 2 links, the buttons into about to go to forward, but yeah, it's not. Since my last path that I went is home, I cannot go to forward. There's nothing, there's no path that I went over. Okay, we should put these guys home and the other 2 into somewhere else.
Azamat, can you use browsers buttons go forward and back with these routers?
I mean, with the regular thing, you can just go back. Yeah,
Okay, should work, right?
you can still go, but yeah, yep, should definitely work. But it says the use navigate hook returns a function that lets you navigate programmatically,
Okay.
right? With the help of the coding, we can go back and forth in the history stack. But of course, with the help of these guys right here, built into the browsers, we can navigate through the history stack, which components we went last time.
And so, yeah, Azamat, this router you're explaining, it is version 5, right? Router version 5?
It's still version 6, but there is
Or
two
6.
different implementations. This is
Okay.
version 6.
Okay.
This is still version 6. We had
So, but not the latest one with singleton. I mean
with the latest one, what?
with create browser router.
Yeah, so that's the second implementation. Yeah.
That's different. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll mention about that the second option in the next class. But you guys need to understand this the first option, which is still very commonly used in real world scenarios. Okay. So what else we can take a look in here? Oh yeah. So let's just go back to FJS. Okay. So now we created a route for users and we created the route path for users column person, right? Instead of creating these two different routes like that, since this second route is kind of like a child of this one, right? The second route is kind of like a child of the second route. So what we can do here is that we copy paste this guy right here, like this, right? This is the first option. The second option would be just wrap this guy right inside this route. Instead of making this self-closing tag, we can make this with the opening tag and closing tag and paste this guy right like this. Now it's inner, like a children, right? But in this case, we don't put this users part. All right, in this case, we don't put this users part. It's gonna be like this. Okay, it's gonna be the child of the original path users, and we're going to dynamically changing the person and going to single user. So if I go to users, it will take me to users. If I go to users slash person, it will take me to this single element.
Azamat, question. So
yeah,
we have 4 links. When we pick some of them, we want to show only that component. Like I see that we are changing our URL, we want to see only that component, but we always see that 4 links. I mean, why they're always here?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good question. The thing about is that the nav link is outside the routes. It's not inside the routes. All right, our nav is not inside the routes. What route was doing is based on this BTN. Remember this one right here? Based on the BTN is displaying the home. If the BTN is a home, is displaying the home component. If it's about, is displaying the about component. Right? If it's a users, it's displaying the users. If it's users slash one, it's displaying the single user. It's just override whatever the component we're trying to display. But this guy right here, it just stays there.
Okay.
It will just stay there.
Yeah, I thought like I just wanted to make sure. It's
Yeah.
really new thing. We need to accept it.
right? So right here, we can specify the routes. But of course, if you create this guy in a separate component and try to, but if you have to have a route, you have to have some links to click to in order to navigate through the components. Okay, so we have to have links.
But if we wanna, when we click some different link, I wanna to, I mean, change all my page. I don't wanna even show that navbar. Is here some way to do that? I wanna like show it's absolutely different page. Можно как-то скрыть вот эти, например, 4 линка? Or they always will be here?
Well, in the real world scenarios, we have to have a nav link somehow, right? It should be always on the top. Where's my phone?
Yeah, how about like we have like a movie website? We will have a site as a like categories for movies. We will have an hour, but this site is different. Usually we always have that like categories of movies, but when I like wanna see like comments, I just wanna disappear that the site.
Oh, you want to okay, so you want to hide that side. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But he's like here, like he's outside of routers roads
mhm.
that site. Или такой вообще it's not like неприменимо.
I'm thinking like how can you toggle this nav based on the different components?
Okay, but usually they are always visible, right? What we
Yeah,
have.
they have to be visible so that we can navigate through our application. So I was trying to show you guys this guy right here. And so every time I click it, it's just refresh the whole page. Okay, cool. So of course it has to be /person. Person nested under path users is not valid. An absolute child route must be stored with the combined path of all its parent routes. What are you talking about? What did we do wrong? If I come down to person, person is undefined.
Excuse me, Azamat, can you show us how did you use param hook one more time?
Yes, use params right here.
Just created this hook here. What is this? Is it single user chess?
Um, Yeah, it is a single user JS. Yep.
And it's getting a person, what is it, ID or the information?
Right.
Getting
We're
it.
providing the ID in each loop.
Okay, getting ID and where it's person ID
Generating a
and
link. Yep.
okay, putting it there.
So now, why it says that the pad person route. The pad teams and team ID dynamically. Yes. Route product ID. Dynamic segments cannot be partial, right? What am I missing here? We are wrapping this guy / messages and / tasks. Yeah, I'm trying to understand why it's not. Of course, it's not found because we don't have such a thing. The person is just accepting as the number.
What is it? It's saying with what's an error?
The error is that it's just changing the whole thing, right? Like if I click this, it's running this users, which is fine.
Oh,
Yep, you should run users, but
users.
Can you repeat this again? Like the way you tapped?
so the issue is that we have contact and we have users, right? If I
Mhm.
click any of these with the change of like this, with the route change,
Mhm.
if I click it, it's changing the everything right here.
Um,
To 1%.
does it changes or it just renders it like that? I mean, it's changing the data or just renders in the wrong way?
It's changing the whole thing right here. It's just
I
whatever I
mean, the
selected
data
in the
itself is
users.
changed or no?
No, I don't think so. Data is not changing. It's just the UI is changing.
Maybe we're still mapping. I know.
No,
Hold on.
mapping, the issue with the mapping though, yeah. It's just because we are mapping, but based on the new
Can you click
users.
again just to see the URL? Yeah. Oh, it's two.
Yeah, it's taking
And it
the
should be single one. Mm. Mm-hmm. Should be
so if I
single one.
utilize whatever, it should be single one. So users, Curtis waste not. Yeah,
Oh,
the
maybe
problem
it's
is that
taking element users as a layout, like on top of it, and then putting the single user. I think that's the problem.
that is correct actually. Yeah. So the thing about is that instead of when we render these users,
We
right?
should then make them separate.
Yeah, we need to make them separate actually.
Yeah, you're
So-
just adding the second link, I think. Oh, I mean the last one. But I don't
right.
know.
So the problem here is that when we render users component and we are mapping through the data and we are rendering single user. At the same time, when we click this, the link users underscore person, we are still rendering the single user. Okay, so let's try to avoid that problem. Instead of single user, yeah, single user can stay there. But when we render, we should be rendering user component instead of user component, and instead of single user, selected user, basically. Okay, let's assume that this is selected user. User.js. And now, inside my single user, the single user can stay here. Let me grab this guy. All right, I'm getting the ID in each render, and I'm trying to display this. So span will display the username, and we'll pass the ID. Go to user. Okay, go to user. So now let's go back to users. Instead of a single user, we'll try to grab the user, right? And then provide the ID as user.id. You know what? Let's just pass the user itself. Let's just pass the user itself, and we'll just grab the ID from there. Okay, link is not defined because we did not. Okay, here we go. All right, when we render users, rendering users, and in each users, we're just rendering each user. And we have link for each user. And when we click the user, we should be getting the ID, right? Instead of, we don't have any more these guys, props. We're not passing any props anymore. Okay, so what we have is the person, or yeah, the person right now. Okay, the params, the person. Now we're trying to find the user out of user's data. And now we are displaying, instead of link, we don't have to display the link anymore. Okay, we don't have to display the link anymore. We can display the image as we're finding the user. Do we have image for this guy? Yeah, they don't have images. They don't have images. Instead of that, we'll just display paragraph with user.name. email, and phone number. How's that? Oh, phone, just the phone. Okay, so now go to user, and we are able to see the user. Users, go to user, and go back. Go to user, contacts, users. Okay, so we are able to see the individual user right now. So let me try to implement the same thing with the other route now. Okay, so instead of this guy right here, let me try to implement this one. Okay, so the link is, the URL is changing, but we are not able to get to that point. Yeah, I will take a look into that, guys. I apologize. I was not able to explain that process. But yeah, usually if you have a main route and if you have a child routes, you can wrap the child routes with the one route and then handle the individual child routes inside that route. Okay. I will take a look into that and try to come up with a more detailed explanation. But yeah, I hope you guys did not confuse this one or this part right here. Questions?
Can you just please show how user JS works and single user? I just confused. You created one more user.
Yeah, I created the user. Yes.
Yeah.
So inside my users component, I'm just looping through the user's data. And when I loop through the data, I'm displaying this user, right? Individual user is just contains this paragraph and the link. Okay, inside my user, it only contains div with the span name and the link.
You created link by ID. Okay, I see.
All right, the link. But in before we were looping through like a mapping the single user itself, and we created the link out of the single user. And at the same time, we were still using the single user when we were routing inside RFJS. So that was the issue. And now we have different user component. And inside my user component, I have a link. Okay, and every time I click individual link, it is just showing me each single user.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I just was need some time.
Yeah, so it's sometimes it's really hard to keep track of the logic behind it. Okay, but yeah. Any questions?
Not yet.
So we have one more thing for related to use params. Okay, so we have use params, and we also said that we have use. Where's my home? Use navigate. Okay. We also have location. I use location from React router down. It is another hook from React router down. It basically provides us the path that we are currently located on, right? As you guys remember, where did I show you? This right here. The window location, right? What's the window location is showing us? The location is showing us the href, the origin, and the host. Okay, these are the things that it shows us. For instance, we're interested about this the path name most of the time. Okay. Let's try to console log where we are going when we navigate inside this home. Location is the location. Here's the page. Users, contact, about, and home. Okay, it's taking time. So the path is the path name is hash just the slash, right? But if I put the same guy in single user, if I put the same guy in the single user, let's go back to users, and if I click the go to user, of course I did not import it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's go back to users, and if I click this guy right here, right, the location is where I am located right now. Right, the location is where I'm located now. Most of the time, let's take a look at this project over here. Right, this home products. This part right here is changing based on the tab click. If I go about, this location is being taken by the location using the use location hook. Right, if I go to home, products, I'm inside the products route, as you guys know, the products right here. And if I click about, my route is changing to about, and my location is also just showing the about.
Azamat, I saw something like this in Nike website. He's showing all like branches, how we get to this page. And also it was clickable. If I will click home or other branch, he sent me to that page. It was, yeah. I mean,
This is, yeah, you guys can see right here, based on the location, I'm clicking the product slash the ID, and it's taking me to the specific the product. You said that you saw it in the IKEA?
yeah, can we make it as a link also? Make it clickable?
This guy right here?
Yeah. If you don't mind, I can just show you right now. It's, oh, I mean, just, yeah,
Yeah.
here's for, sorry. I just thought how to do that. Yeah, here, I mean, we have like the same thing like branch. It's location,
Mhm.
right? How where I am right now.
Yes.
It's also is clickable. I can just, yeah, you just wrap it that location to the link or what? How to do that? I mean,
It is based on the navigate. They use the use navigate.
just
Okay, they make they make it like a clickable link. When you click it, it navigates pretty much like a one link backwards. Right? We try to implement that today with the use navigate.
okay.
So the same logic over here. It's not clickable. It just shows which location we're located right now. Okay, but you're right. So those are links, and if you click it, it will just take it back based on the location, based on the path name inside the location object.
All right, Azamat, can we take a break?
Let's take a break. 5 minutes break, we'll come back. Okay, cool. So this was the first option for us to implement React Router in our applications. Okay, we have the second option, right? We have second option. The second option is to create a router object with the provider, okay? Router provider and router object for our routes in index.js, right over here. All right, so basically what we can do here, we need to import router provider and create browser router from React Router DOM. Okay. Create root browser router as router. So we're not going to be needing this. That was the first option. Is it commenting out? Can you comment it out? Guess we'll just delete it. Okay. So instead of browser router, we need router provider. At the same time, we need the create browser router. Right, this router provider is just like the context state context set provider. We will wrap the whole application router provider. Okay, it's going to be a self-closing tag. We don't have to wrap the app component itself. Okay, we don't have to wrap the app component. What we can do here is that we can create the router first over here. Constant router is equal to create browser router, and we can pass an array. Now this array will contain the routes. This array will contain the routes first. The first one would be basically this contains objects. Okay, array of objects. The objects are the paths that we specified inside our FJS. These routes. Okay, these attributes over here, as you guys see right here, the attributes. These are the attributes that we specify inside index.js over here. For instance, we had the path that we specify, element that we specify. Okay, so and if they have the children, we can also specify the child paths for our router. Okay, so the initial path, it will be slash, which is the main route in our application, and then what we are trying to render here. As soon as we hit the slash, we would like to see the app.js rendered, right? So that's why we need to put app over here. Okay. The app component needs to be rendered when we hit the main root path for our application. And then the children, as you guys know, the children is like an array of objects. Again, the array, just like we created the array initially, now the children is also array of objects. Okay, they also contain the path. For instance, what do we have? Still, if we like to display the home, we can display the home. Okay, the path and element is going to be just display the home component. Something is wrong with this. Get it? Yes, import the home from home. Another path would be about. Okay, another path would be contact. Let's do one more path as we have in the links already, users, and just display the users. And do we have children to display each user? Okay, users and of course object, and the path will be user ID. And the element we're trying to display here would be the single user, right? Single user. Element, we forgot to put the comma over here. I'm not sure why it is complaining right now. Didn't miss a thing. It's good now. Yeah, I don't know why it was complaining. So we do have it. Oh, we don't have contact. Cool. So we created a router, and now we need to pass down our router as just like the context API. We have value, and in here we need to pass down the router as router. Okay, we need to pass down the router as a router. So now, inside our app.js, we don't need anything that we have routes over here that define it as a route. We don't need these guys. We don't have to specify the routes over here.
But this way looks like more easier, right?
It's a little bit cleaner than this this way, yes. So, but this way is still being implemented in applications, okay? But I think the React router is recommends to use. This is the recommended router for all React Router web projects. It uses the DOM history API to update the URL and manage the history stack. Okay, create browser router. We created the router, and we're passing the router provider as router. Okay, so we got it. So,
What
but
is it?
how
Not
about
right.
this? Yeah, go ahead, please.
It is a lot of leaders as a property. What is that? Children and leaders. Leader. Ah, loader. I'm sorry. I thought it's. What is loader?
Yes, I've never implemented this loader. That's probably for
Okay.
The loader is for loading data before the components
loading, yeah.
rendered. Yeah.
Yep. So if
You
you have
just fetch the data before and render the component, and it like guarantees that the data is gonna be fetched and then only render. And then you have actions too. And then when you submit some data also.
But as Azamat said, without loader it should work. Also,
Yeah,
right?
we should work with the loader is just the additional function properties.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Routes root. Where is it grabbing though? It's from routes root. Import root loader from routes root. It's hard to tell where is it getting though. Anyway, so they have loaders, actions, and fetchers. I mean, right now we're not fetching anything though, right? In our components, so it should be working fine. We don't have to use the loaders. But so if we don't have a route, how do we display our selected routes, the components? Right? How do we display our routes? That's where we have to use the outlet. Okay, that's where the helpful thing is with the outlet. So the outlet should be used in parent route elements to render their child route elements. This allows nested UI to show up when child routes are rendered. If the parent route matches exactly, it will render a child index route or nothing if there is no index route. So since we are using the second option, right? The second option of implementing React Router, when we use the first option, we are basically based on the route, selected route, we are displaying these components. But since we are using create browser router, we need to use outlet from React Router DOM itself. Come on, load up. Oh, it's taking some time. Look at that. Something is really, really slow right now. Yep. All right, we're grabbing the outlet, which is used to render the child routes within the parent routes component. What's the parent route for us? This guy right here, right? That's the parent, the top route. And we're rendering app. And anything that happens inside it for any route, okay, it will be displayed inside our outlet. So we're grabbing the outlet from React Router DOM, and we already use these components inside our index.js when we are creating this router. All right, and then the link has to be there, of course, because we need to route into a specific component. Users is not defined, didn't we?
We didn't import.
Oh my goodness. It's taking a while to grab those components. Cancel it. Oh, snap. Don't do it to me. Don't do it to me. Oh, not this console. I would like to open this console. Cool. So router, create browser router, app.js, and we have outlet. If I click about, contact, users.
Excuse me, Azamat, what is outlet for?
So the outlet is displaying the child. So it should be used in parent route elements to render the child root elements. So the top parent is, what do we have? This guy right here, right? The top parent. We only have one object inside our router, and that object is basically the path root, and the element is app. And the children of that element is whatever the path we have over here. Now, initially, what we had over here, we already in the first implementation, we are already rendering this app.js, right? And with all the navigation. And now based on the home, based on the path selection, which are all of these routes are the children of the parent route. Based on the selection, we are routing to the specific child component. And this is where the outlet is helpful. If you are using this one, it will just route to the specific component. But if you are using create the browser router, then this outlet is our is displaying what's being selected, what's being routed to the router.
Oh, okay. It's a kind of placeholder for the children, right?
It's kind of like a placeholder for the children, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we don't have to see inside what's inside this, but it's provided by React Router DOM itself.
Mm,
It says that based on the route you select, right? We have a router provider, and as we said that when we click link, this router provider will trigger. It will understand that okay, I have
Yep.
this clicked, and now I need to display based on this router object, right? Array of objects.
Yep.
On this selection, I need to display the child component, and it will display the child component inside the outlet.
So
Okay.
users also need outlet, right? Because users
Users,
has his children's, I mean.
but yeah, users is also the child of the parent. That's the user is also inside.
So even if he like has his own children's, he don't need outlet. I mean, users.
No,
It,
no.
outlet
It
shows his
doesn't.
children's. Okay,
It doesn't need outlet.
there's only one at the like
It's a
first parent,
it's a
right?
grandchild, right?
Yes.
So it cannot be.
Mm-mm.
Is it possible to have two parents here in this? Yeah, for example, so can you go up a little bit? Yeah, instead of just this one slash
I
path,
see. Okay.
Yeah,
You're talking about the second route?
two big parents. Yeah,
That should be, yeah, why not?
should work, right? But the only thing, maybe we have to have a name, right? Unique names. Yeah.
Yes, we should have a unique name and then a different path.
Okay. Okay.
So usually use only one outlet, right?
Parent two. Yeah, so let's see if parent two, if I let's try to display this parent two. What is that saying? Create browser router. Absolute route path nested under path route. Create browser router. An array of route objects with nested routes on the children property.
Okay.
Well, I guess
children.
maybe not, guys. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's not saying anything like
How
that.
about this? Yeah, so it's ID root. Yeah, it's only creating only one, but it's creating inside an array. You would assume that we might have additional routes for that, but
Okay. 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 So, but it makes sense, right? Because the main parent is gonna be app JS, and then inside app JSX you can create so as many children inside app
exactly,
JS.
yeah. So this is the
Oh,
top one, the path slash, because this is the most top parent,
yeah.
right, of our component, and there's no need to
Mhm.
create one.
And then we can expand inside the maybe. Okay.
Right. So we do have user ID, single user, and single user ID. Okay, and find the user. Okay, so use params.
We need to change in app.js to user ID because it's person, I think.
App.js.
Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, we do have down here, I changed to user ID, the pad, and the element is a single user. And now we should be able to navigate. My URL is already changed. Okay, my URL is already changed, so it should display me single user in the outlet. But somehow, do I have to put slash over here? Absolute route path user ID nested under path users is not valid. And absolute child, blah blah blah. Let me take a look one thing, guys. Okay, so let me take a look at nested. Routes. Single route. Add teams, team ID. Yeah, it renders this element team when the URL matches this argument. Oh, is it? Okay, so is it? I think it's saying that it has to be users slash user ID. Is that what it's saying? I think we're seeing the same issue as we saw right over here. It makes sense to put this path since we are using single user. Yeah, let me take a look at the location. So if I'm clicking this, why my location is not showing? Cost along in this location. It's taking some time. Wait a minute. Okay, so let me go back to my user. And user's ID, link to user's ID. There shouldn't be any issue though. User, passing user. Okay, so I'd like to constant lock this guy right here. Add constant lock. Okay, pad, and instead of this guy, let's just put the pad. So the pad is users /10, users 9. Yeah, we're good. But if I click this guy right here, my routing is not working based on the selection. So the pad users, element users. The children would be pad users, user ID, element single user. Not even going into my single user. Why? Did I import it? I did, right? From single user. Does that make any difference to, since this one is a number, like it shouldn't be a problem though, right? Putting it users slash the number one or users slash the string one. I mean, I can't think of anything why it's not pointing to
Maybe
me.
if you wrap it with toString.
You mean to string? Oh, there is no difference.
Maybe we simply don't get the IDs. They are undefined.
Right over here?
Yeah, maybe in a, I don't know.
And can you go back to that object, Azamat, please?
What is that?
Sorry, yeah, to router object. What is it wrong?
Yeah, so we do have pad.
Yeah, can you try to delete this in the pass in the beginning of user that back the
Oh
forward
yeah,
slash
You should delete
forward
the
slash the user
in the
on
children.
no here leave it here
I think you should delete the users
on,
at the
on line
and
29.
This guy right here?
yes,
Yeah.
in the children maybe.
No.
Maybe
Okay.
if you delete the users at the beginning in the children, users.id users, it should add sum up the links, I think. But the URL is okay.
I don't know. I just у меня предчувствие. We have the logic in single user JS. We have like we
Yes,
are
we have a logic in
single, I'm a single user. We compared by ID. Почему-то мне кажется, что эта логика должна быть внутри user.js. Может?
oh, you're
Single-
saying that
we have two files, single user and just user.js. And a single user is just to show email, phone number, and name, right? When
that
we
is correct, yes.
Okay, I just we have a find method. We are trying to.
No, the thing is that I feel like I'm not a constant. I don't like this. I don't render this component either. I'm not going to the single user. It's not about the single user. The problem is right here. So we're having some issue with
in the
the
pass.
I see. I just
Maybe if you put the slash before. No, I mean
So-
in a online 33.
No, it's just still same thing. User, I'm constantly logging in the pad. Wait. Is it about, I'm not sure if it's about the code sandbox, but it's something. So you said what in line
33 the slash.
23?
33.
Oh,
Yeah, the
33 with-
slash before user ID.
It's
I
tried. Yeah,
That's right.
he tried already.
Oh my
What is
god. Okay.
Yeah, we tried it already.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. Do we?
It says that the user ID nested under the path users is not valid. An absolute path route must start with the combined path of all its parent routes. What? The absolute? It says that basically it should start with users slash user ID. Why it's capitalized, not capitalized.
I didn't get. Why did you convert to the string that ID in user.js? Do you
Because
still?
first we have IDs 1,
Here's number.
Yeah, these are the number. But when we get the prompts, we need a single user ID. This is the string. So we need to convert this one to a number. If you don't want to convert it, you can just put this guy right here, right? Both of them should work fine. But we're trying to get to individual user.
Yeah, I mean
Can you
that
share the link of the sandbox?
Absolutely. Copy.
that user I see you. Mm. I mean, in the file user.js, you use toString. Yeah, I didn't get.
Nested child. Okay, so project certificate skills contact. Yeah, I'm not looking for that one. What if I have? I'm not providing the specific thing that I want.
Azamat, how often do you use router in your projects?
All the time we have.
Oh, really? Okay. I just
Yeah.
thought you don't really use this because that's why you missed something.
Right. Oh my goodness. This is so bad. User ID. Let's try to type specific thing. All right, guys. I don't know what's the problem with this. The documentation says that you can do that, but element team, what about the team member? Yeah, the pad events ID. Wait a minute. An array route object with nested routes on the children property. Events ID event. But is that saying that? Okay, how about this? Instead of creating this the children, right? Now, how about we do another pad for user ID. In that case, we're going to be using this guy over here as an element, and this guy doesn't have any children. Let's assume that this guy doesn't have any children. What's the matter? Oh my goodness, sorry about that, guys. I forgot the slash. Users, now we're good. Yeah, I think this is better than the other one, but yeah, this way of setting up is what we had in FJS. This guy's right here, right? Separate route users and another route for path users person or user ID. Okay, but the other one as a setting up as a children, somehow was having an issue because we are wrapping one route with another route. And that was the same issue. And I will take a look into that, guys. Don't worry about that. But for now, we should be fine. We have pad users and we have another pad users user ID will display the single user. All right, any questions? I know it was kind of confusing today. We've been trying to understand back and forth with the documentation, right? I apologize if I confused you guys.
Yeah, but
It's okay.
it was cool. It was, yeah, interesting. No worries. It was.
Yeah, it was good to experience to see the yeah, debugging.
All right, what do
Okay.
we have for next Monday? How about we try to do this project next, I don't know, next Monday or next Wednesday?
Sure, this will be.
So I do have a starter code, right? The starter code does not contain any. It has a data, but it's not the rendering all of these guys. Okay, it's really cool project with all the CSS stylings already in place.
Can you share the GitHub repo?
Perhaps for the starter code, yep.
Yeah, because on the
Uh,
static portal, the projects are not too like interesting.
yeah, I shared in the Slack chat.
Okay, thank you.
Azamat. So
Yes.
will we have like classes video until we will end this cohort? Or are you gonna finish before? I just
Oh, yeah.
last month will be different than other
What is
months.
that? Can you say
Will,
that again? I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, will we have a class video until we will finish this cohort?
I think they're trying to pull me into the new cohort starting from July 8th, I think.
Oh, really? They
Yeah, so I mean, we're pretty much covered what was in the curriculum except the Redux. So I was thinking like once we cover the Redux, this project was actually done with the Redux.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
we covered like almost big topics like use state. Oh,
Use context, yep.
yeah, yeah, but we didn't like do some project by using.
I gave you guys the hangman try to do that, right? The hangman. Try to convert the state use state to use context. And that was the homework. Please finish the first homework before we give you guys the second homework.
Sure. So only Redux left, right? Like,
The Redux is the big one.
yeah.
Redux is the big one. I mean, this routing is also a big one, but the documentation is pretty much very simple to understand, except this routing to the specific route. Oh, we forgot one more pad, guys, over here. We're pretty much done, but yeah, if if it doesn't match, so if it doesn't match, just show to no match. Yeah, I did already. Why use this though? Show it to me. Cool. And if I type something else, oh, it's not the right one to choose. So if I type something else, not found. Cool. Yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for joining the class. We'll try to
Okay,
do.
thank you. Have a good day.
And have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, have a good night.